Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Bend County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory video cast. Enjoy. Library Connections number 17, hosted by SSCL librarian Linda Reimer. This video cast is being recorded on Thursday, August 27th, 2020. I can't believe it's almost September, and I bet you can't believe that too. Jumping right in with the top 5 books on the New York Times fiction bestseller list for this week. At number 1, Royal by Danelle Steele. In 1943, the 17-year-old Princess Charlotte assumes a new identity in the country and falls in love. At number 2, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. In a quiet town on the North Carolina coast, back in 1969, a young woman who survived alone in the marsh becomes a murder suspect. And every time I read that, I want to note that the young woman actually grew up mostly on her own in the marsh. She didn't just survive as a young woman, she survived as a child. And obviously that one I have read, but I am digressing. Getting back to the list here, at number 3, The Jackal by J.R. Ward. In the Black Dagger Brotherhood world, Nyx searches for her sister in a lost prison camp and meets a man known as the Jackal. At number 4, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. The lives of twin sisters who run away from a southern black community at age 16 diverge as one returns and the other takes on a different racial identity, but their fates intertwine. And at number 5, The Guest List by Lucy Foley. A wedding between a TV star and a magazine publisher on an island off the coast of Ireland turns deadly. And moving on to the top 5 books on the nonfiction bestseller list for this week. At number 1, Untamed by Glennon Doyle. The activist and public speaker describes her journey of listening to her inner voice. At number 2, Live Free or Die by Sean Hannity. The Fox News host offers his assessment on what is at stake in the 2020 election. At number 3, Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. The Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist examines aspects of caste systems across civilizations and reveals a rigid hierarchy in America today. At number 4, Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. A law professor and MacArthur Grant recipient's memoir of his decades of work to free innocent people condemned to death. And at number 5, Too Much and Never Enough by Mary L. Trump. The clinical psychologist gives her assessment of events and patterns inside her family and how they shaped President Trump. Jumping right in with our first recommended read of the week. This one's a novel, and it's getting really good reviews. It's called Betty, written by Tiffany McDaniel. McDaniel returns to the Appalachian foothills of southeastern Ohio for her second novel, after The Summer That Melted Everything. Presented as a fictionalized account of her mother Betty's family, and told from Betty's point of view. The story is an ode to Betty's father, Landon Carpenter, a man of Cherokee descent who is wise in Native American Indian lore, natural medicines, wood carving, and other unlucrative pursuits. Landon has a silver tongue and can translate their world of rural poverty into mythic language, a skill that he passed along to Betty, the writer in the family. One of 8 children, a few of whom die young, Betty is the only one to inherit her dad's black hair and dark complexion, for which she suffers discrimination at school and sometimes within her own family. McDaniel's writing is rife with striking images and surprising turns of phrase that are at first wondrous and childlike, but display growing insight as Betty begins to comprehend the family's troubled past. Verdict. In McDaniel's telling, members of this hardscrabble family stride through their Ohio community like minor gods, leaving amazement in their wake. Highly recommended, a coming-of-age novel that is a treat for lovers of stylistic prose. And the review is from Reba Leading of James Madison University Library for a library journal. Moving along to our second recommended read of the week. This one too is fiction. It's called The Butterfly Lampshade, written by Amy Bender. When Francie is 8 years old, her mother Elaine suffers a psychotic break. Elaine's struggles with mental health are nothing new, but this episode is severe enough that Elaine is institutionalized and Francie is sent from Portland, Oregon to Los Angeles to live with her Aunt Min, her Uncle Stan, and their new baby Vicky. 20 years later, Francie is still living in LA. She's managing a frame store, but she spends her free time scouring yard sales for odd treasures she can sell online. Her relationship with her adopted family is solid, if fraught. Min and Vicky are always looking for signs of Elaine's illness in Francie. Her relationship with her mother, maintained by phone and occasional visits, depends largely on how well Elaine's medications are working. As she begins to revisit and work through what happened when she was 8, Francie withdraws from the world beyond this small circle. A reader's capacity to appreciate this novel will depend on how much time they're willing to spend inside Francie's head. Francie is smart and interesting. She is an engaging protagonist, and she notes, or it feels like she notes, every single detail of every encounter she has. Sentences like, "At some point, Vicky got up to wipe down the table, and I watched all the last pieces of rice and blueberries connect to her sponge and gather together to fall into her hand," take up a whole lot of the first half of the novel. But the reader who sticks with this glacial pace will realize that Francie notices everything because her survival depended on noticing everything when she was a child. By the end, the book reveals itself as a meditation on memory, identity, and the sometimes uncanny relationship between living beings and the inanimate world. A novel with rewards for patient and sympathetic readers. And that is the Kirkus review. Moving along to our audiobook recommendations of the week. This week I've got two. The first is All the Devils Are Here, written by Louise Penny and read by Robert Bathurst. This is the 16th novel by best-selling author Louise Penny, and it finds Chief Inspector Armand Gamache of the Sûreté de Quebec investigating a sinister plot in the City of Light. On their first night in Paris, the Gamaches gather as a family for a bistro dinner with Armand's godfather, the billionaire Stephen Horowitz. Walking home together after the meal, they watch in horror as Stephen is knocked down and critically injured in what Gamache knows is no accident, but a deliberate attempt on the elderly man's life. When a strange key is found in Stephen's possession, it sends Armand, his wife Renee Marie, and his former second-in-command at the Sûreté, Jean-Guy Brevoort, From the top of the Tour de Eiffel to the bowels of the Paris archives, from luxury hotels to odd, coded works of art. It sends them deep into the secrets Armand's godfather has kept for decades. A gruesome discovery in Stephen's Paris apartment makes it clear the secrets are more rancid, the danger far greater and more imminent than they realized. Soon the whole family is caught up in a web of lies and deceit. In order to find the truth, Gamache will have to decide whether he can trust his friends, his colleagues, his instincts, his own past, and even his own family. So this one sounds like a really great read. If I mispronounced anything French-wise, apologies. Moving on to our second audiobook recommendation of the week. This one is fiction and also science fiction. It's called Axiom's End, a novel written by Lindsay Ellis and read by Oliver Thorne and Stephanie Willis. Communication and trust are matters of life and death in Ellis's thoughtful, fast-paced debut. In 2007, 2 meteorites strike the Los Angeles area within the span of 1 month, and a leak reveals that the U.S. government is aware of extraterrestrial life on Earth. Cora Sabino, the whistleblower's daughter, is abducted by one of these life forms shortly thereafter. Cora makes a deal to interpret for her abductor, ampersand, the alien who arrived with the first meteorite, whose language she is able to understand thanks to his advanced technology. She hopes to use her ability to communicate with ampersand to bargain for her father's safety from the government. But soon, Cora is caught in the middle of an interspecies alien conflict as Obolus, who arrived in the second meteorite, hunts down the Fermetta group, refugees who arrived on Earth 40 years earlier. Cora and ampersand bond while working together. But can Cora really trust a being whose conception of morality is so different from her own? Though a too-quick ending is somewhat unsatisfying, the powerful connection that grows between Cora and ampersand as they teach each other about their respective cultures is masterfully done. Lovers of character-focused science fiction will find plenty to enjoy in this gripping alternative history. And the review is by Publishers Weekly, and that one is definitely on my reading list. Moving on to our streaming video recommendations of the week. This week I've got 3. First one is a movie. It's called Late Night. First came out last year, and it's available through Amazon Prime Video. This film follows Molly Patel, Mindy Kaling, newly hired as a staff writer for the late night TV show hosted by Catherine Newberry, Emma Thompson. Newberry has been hosting her Emmy award-winning show for 30 years, and she doesn't like change. But she is aware that her show's falling ratings need to rise. So in trying to get with the times, she hires Molly, who comes from an Indian American background, as what Newberry describes as a diversity hire to modernize her staff. Thus, Molly finds herself working with an obstinate boss, while also traversing the white, male-dominated world of the late-night TV industry, all while finding a way to succeed despite discriminatory hurdles. Writer, comedian, and actress Mindy Kaling wrote the script for the film, based in part on her experiences working in the world of TV comedy. And Emma Thompson was nominated for a Golden Globe for her performance as the curmudgeon late-night TV pro, Catherine Newberry. So if you're looking for a smart and funny movie, check this one out. Moving on to our second streaming recommendation for the week. This is a new movie available through Netflix. It's called Project Power. It's a science fiction action film starring Jamie Foxx as a weary cop and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a haunted but determined soldier. The team pair up to try and end the use of a designer drug that gives people superpowers for 5 minutes. The designer drug users don't know which power he or she will get. They only get one. They don't know before taking the pill. One might be able to jump to the rooftops, turn invisible, or possibly die a spectacular death. And Dominic Fishback appears as a young girl selling the drug as a means to pay for her mother's cancer treatment. If you're looking for a new action film to lose yourself in, this one should fit the proverbial bill. And it's available now. Our final streaming recommendation from the week is both a blast from the past recommendation and a new one too. It's the TV series called Cobra Kai. Seasons 1 and 2 are available on Netflix now. This Karate Kid sequel was YouTube's first successful TV production. They produced 2 seasons of the series, which has grown in popularity to the point where Netflix has commissioned a 3rd season. The first 2 seasons are available, as I said, on Netflix now, and the 3rd is expected to drop in 2021. The series opens 34 years after the film and follows Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio, now happily married with 2 teenagers of his own and running a successful car dealership, and a down-and-out Johnny Lawrence, William Zabka, who is divorced, estranged from his teenage son, and disheartened at the way his life has turned out. It transpires that despite his success, Daniel feels a bit adrift without the guidance of his old mentor, Mr. Miyagi, and in trying to put some meaning back into his life, Johnny decides to reopen the old Cobra Kai karate dojo. And you just know there's going to be some conflict between these 2 former rivals. Cobra Kai is a welcome continuation of the Karate Kid story, and if you're nostalgic for the Karate Kid, check it out. And moving on to our Odd Duck recommendation of the week. This week, the subject is how you can vote in the general election this fall. And since the Southeast Steuben County Library serves patrons of Steuben County, this how-to section will focus on how you register to vote and the ways you can vote in the general election this fall if you live in Steuben County, New York. If you live in another county, you can find out how to register to vote and where to vote by Googling your county board of elections. For example, if I wanted to easily find voting information for Steuben County, New York, I would Google Steuben County, New York Board of Elections, which is what you see with the Google search on the left there. And the first search result that displays, which should be the case 99.9% of the time, is your official Board of Elections site. In this case it is. It says www.steubenscony.org, Board of Elections, Steuben County. And it is the official Steuben County Board of Elections page. So you're going to click on that. And so now we are at the Steuben County Board of Elections homepage. This page features all the information you'll need to register to vote, find your voting location, discover how to request a vote-by-mail ballot, there is a form for that, and even where and when you can go to vote early, and they have weekend hours. So this is the main page that if you need to come back to it because you click something and you can't figure out how to get back, you go to the link that says Departments and Services. If you look at the top left there where it says Steuben County in big bold letters, New York in smaller letters, just underneath that it says Departments and Services. And if you click on that, one of the links is Board of Elections, which will take you back to this page. And I'm only going to say that once, but that's how you get back to this page. Having said that, registering to vote. If you're not already registered to vote, you can find out how to do so by clicking on the Register to Vote link found on the Steuben County Board of Elections homepage. And the big red arrow is pointing to that link. So if you click on that Register to Vote link, once you click the Register to Vote link, you'll be redirected to the Register to Vote page, seen in the photo in the middle here. And you can register to vote by, number 1, printing a registration form and mailing the completed form to the Steuben County Board of Elections at 3 East Pulteney Square, Bath, New York. And that is the link that says click here for voter registration form, letter size. And the link has got an arrow pointing to the left, which shows you the New York State voter registration form that will display and can be printed off. Second way you can register to vote is to register online through the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles by clicking on the link that says click here to register online through NYSDMV. And there's a red arrow pointing to the right, which shows you what that online form should look like. And the third way is to call the Steuben County Board of Elections at area code 607-664-2260. Alternately, and a fourth way is that you can go to the Steuben County Board of Elections and get a voter registration form. Absentee voting. You have to apply to vote by mail, also known as absentee voting. It's the same thing. Due to the pandemic, New York State is allowing anyone and everyone who wants to vote by mail, because usually you need an excuse to vote by mail, but right now they're allowing everyone to vote by mail. So to vote by mail, you must first submit an absentee ballot application. To do so, you click on the link that says click to download absentee ballot application, seen in the photo at the right, the big red arrows pointing to it. And once you click that, you will download the application. And here we see the opened application, the New York State absentee ballot application. In section 1, if you're applying for an absentee ballot due to COVID-19 concerns, that is to say you don't want to vote at your regular polling location because you don't want to catch COVID, the New York State has directed that you check the box to the left of temporary illness or physical disability, and they'll accept that. So once you've completed the form, you can either mail it back to the Steuben County Board of Elections in Bath, or take the application directly to the Steuben County Board of Elections. And just FYI, ditto on your general election ballot once you receive it in the mail. You can, if you wish, bypass the post office and take your completed general election ballot directly to the Steuben County Board of Elections office located at 3 East Pulteney Square, Bath, New York. And I'm going to add 2 little addendums. One is that you have to fill out this form in blue or black ink. New York State requires that, so don't use a red pen. And the second little addendum is you may notice if you're flipping through the Board of Elections pages that it mentions that you can email or fax your absentee ballot application. I'm not offering instructions as to how to do that in this how-to because you still have to mail your New York State absentee ballot application or take it to the Board of Elections, so it seems like an extra step to me. And on to ways to vote in the general election. You may all have noticed this when we first started out this how-to. There's a big section in the middle of the Board of Elections page. It says, attention Steuben County voters, choose one of the 3 ways to vote in the general election. If you click on that link, the page will display seen at the right, and it tells you the 3 ways. One, of course, is absentee ballot by mail voting, which we've just talked about. The second is early voting, which is something that you can do the week before the election, Saturday, October 24th through Sunday, November 1st. There are hours each day of the week. You do have to note that you don't vote at your regular polling location for early voting. Instead, you go to the Steuben County New Annex, located at 20 East Morris Street in Bath. So it isn't at the regular Board of Elections building either. Again, it's the Steuben County New Annex, 20 East Morris Street in Bath. Or, of course, you can vote on Election Day at your regular polling location. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And as a final note, if you're wanting to verify that you're registered to vote and or find out where you vote, go back to the Steuben County Board of Elections page and then click on the Where Do I Vote link on the left-hand side of the page. Once you're on the Where Do I Vote page, you'll have 2 options to 1. Download a list of all polling places in the county, seen in the top photo on the right, or 2. To use the online poll site indicator, which will, once completed, show you where you vote. So those are your two options. One is more of a traditional paper type thing, which you could print off if you wanted to. And the bottom option there at right, you put in the requested information, which, as you'll notice, they have going out a long ways in the black text. And it will show you where you vote. And here are our cute cat photos of the week. In the photo at left, we see Winston, Jules, and Piper in one of their favorite spots, laying on my bed. And of course, there's a stash of laundry there that needs to be put away, but one never gets to everything. Photo on the right shows Winston and Jules just hanging out on a summer's evening and staying clean, because that's important too. Have questions about this weekly video cast? Let me know. Send an email to me. My email address is reimerl@stls.org, and I'll get back to you. Library resources you can access from homepage 1. Clockwise from top left, we see the library's website, the online reference desk form that you can fill out if you have a reference question. You can also, of course, call the library at area code 607-936-3713. We are open currently from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I'm digressing, still going clockwise. Bottom right-hand corner, the SSCL schedule and appointment page. If you'd like to pick up holds, return library books, or come in and browse the holdings at the annex, you have to make an appointment, and that's the page you want to go to, or again, you can call the library. And at the bottom left-hand corner, you see StarCat. That's the catalog of physical library materials, where you can go to request books and materials. Library resources you can access from homepage 2. Here we have both the web versions and the apps for the digital catalog, seen at left, and RB Digital catalog, seen at right. The digital catalog on the left is the catalog of eBooks and downloadable audiobooks. RB Digital features on-demand magazines. All this content is free if you have a library card. The digital catalog features two apps, Libby and Overdrive. You want to use Libby for new devices and Overdrive if you have an older device. And at right, we see the app in the bottom right-hand corner for RB Digital. If you want to look at digital magazines on your tablet or smartphone, just install those apps. The library also has a couple of blogs, which are full of fun content. I urge you to check them out. We've got the Book Club for Adults, which simply lists information about the next adult book club meeting. We've got the local history blog, Corning NY History, Creation Stationery, which is our makerspace blog, Story Musings, which is hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells, and Tech and Book Talk, which features what it sounds like, Tech and Book Talk. If you have questions about library services during the pandemic, or want to make an appointment to browse, pick up, or return items, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. You can call us at area code 607-936-3713, and annex hours are currently Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Social media. Just a weekly reminder, you can connect with the library and pose questions via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. In relation, each video in this series is available on demand by the library's YouTube channel after it has first been shown on Facebook Live. Here are references for this week should you wish to check out any of the articles. And on to the tech tip of the week. Welcome to the tech tip of the week. This one's going to be short as I ran long with the odd duck this week. Here are a few useful keyboard shortcuts. These are usually two keys, sometimes one, that you can tap on your keyboard in order to tell your computer to do something. Control plus Z doesn't mean control 3 keys, it means 2. It doesn't mean the plus key on your keyboard. Instead, it means the control key, CTRL, and the Z key. So if I accidentally did something like say, whoops, got rid of the undo, I could press and hold Control and tap Z and bring that word back. Likewise, if I want to print something from the screen, I would touch the Control key and hold it down and tap P for print. And I'm not set up to print, but if I were, I would click print here. I'm just going to click the back arrow though. Control A selects all text or items on a page or in a folder. So if I press and hold Control and then tap A, all the text is highlighted. And you might think, well, why would I want to do that? Well, you might want to do that to change all the text at once. If I want to change it from, for example, Times New Roman to Calibri, I could do that all at once. I can also change the color. If I want to change it from green to blue, I could do that all at the same time, which is quite useful. All right, Control C is to copy selected text, and you can select all the text by Control and A, but if you just wanted to do and to get rid of selected text, you simply click in a white area that isn't highlighted. But if I wanted to select the text with my mouse, the cursor, I can get to the right of the word keyboard shortcuts, well, 2 words, and then go back and that's selected. But if you want to select all the text, again, Control A. And then to copy selected text, it's Control and then tap C. And then you could go someplace. I could go to Excel, or in this case, Notepad, and do Control V and paste that text. That works too with Excel and PowerPoint if you wanted to use it that way, or in an email, for example. Alt-Tab allows you to switch between open programs, also known as apps today. So if I touch and hold Alt and then tap Tab, it will allow me to go between the programs I have open. And I want to go back now to my screen I was looking at with the keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to do that again. Press and hold Control and then Tab. That should be Alt and Tab. Sorry about that. It's been a long day. And then the 2 keys, Control and Escape, they open the Start menu, as does the Windows key, which should be located near the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. With full-size keyboards, it shows the Windows flag. Otherwise, it might say WIN, but that will open the Windows menu, the Start menu. And if you want to close that, just tap that key again. F5 is to refresh the internet. So if I were here, this is not the best example because the New York Times book page doesn't change a lot, but if I touch the F5 key at the top of my keyboard, it will reload that page very quickly because there's no new information. If there were, like you had news stories, it would display the new information. And that is the tech tip of the week. And that's it for this week. I'll be back next week with another edition of Library Connections. Stay cool.